All right, got a few items before we get to the video. Milestones as usual. We've got a couple of 50 gamers. Adam Harris in the field, Daniel Mild in the boundary. A 200 games of Chris Braun. So well done, Chris. That he does one game a week, so it's taken him a little while to get there. Plus he tends to go away a little bit, but busy man owning Des's cabs. But he's done a terrific job over many years. And a 300 game to Simon Farrell, one of our coaches. Always a popular umpire to umpire with, and he's reached 300 this week. So well done to all you guys. All right, just a reminder, I'm probably putting this in for those that aren't on the Zoom. Just a reminder to all field, boundary and goal umpires, the expectation is that you should arrive at least 45 minutes before the game. Had a phone call from a club on the weekend about 20 minutes before start time, B grade game, wanted to know where the umpires were. Look, we understand things happen at the last minute where you can't get there 45 minutes before a game, but we do ask you, if that's the case, to let the other umpire or umpires know. And if you can't get hold of them, ring, or in this case, myself or Pete Angel. Just make sure it's a phone call, not a text. Text is useless when you don't know if someone's actually got it or not. There'll be a training barbecue this Wednesday night from the association. So come along for a free feed. And of course, the drinks at reduced prices will be available. Speaking of the Umpire Association, with the coaching notes, I will put out a list of those that have signed up as members, as we've talked through before. Just an expectation that those training umpires support the Umpire Association because they do a lot behind the scenes, and for you guys to create a good environment like the barbecue this Wednesday night. So as has been the case in recent years, any field, boundary or goal umpire who's appointed to a grand final must be a member. So if you're not yet on that list, make sure you do so soon, because finals are coming around pretty quick. We have Division 1 buys this week. That's A grade, B grade and C grade Division 1. So it means 15 less games, 30 less umpires. What it will mean is many of you will be umpiring lower grades than usual. Not all of you, but many of you. And there'll be less umpires doing 2 games. And the aim is for not to have field umpires doing back-to-back games. So if that's normally the case with you, just expect it will be a bit different this week. I know I'll get a phone call or a message after appointments go out questioning their appointments, but that's a bit of a heads up for those of you that are on the Zoom or read the notes. Okay, and because of the Division 1 buys, we've got league appointed boundary and goal umpires in lower divisions. They're going to fill some grades they don't normally fill this week, so clubs are aware. The boundary umpires will do men's Division 2 and 3 A grade and B grade. They'll also do men's Division 4 B grade, and as usual, all women's A and B grade. Goal umpires will be doing men's Division A and B grade, men's Division 3 A and B grade, and the women's 1 to 3 A grade as usual. So yeah, just it'll be a little bit different for some of those grades than usual because of the Division 1 buys. Last note I have here, Sample Umpiring Department have introduced a new page on Instagram, highlighting umpiring stories across the state. So it'll include some Adelaide Footy League umpiring stories, and I'll give you the link in the coaching notes if you want to go and like that page and follow what they have to offer. So that's all I have on my notes. Does anyone want to raise anything from anything I've said or anything that happened to them on the weekend before we get on to the coaching video? Now's your time. No. All right. All going too smoothly. Feel free to bring it to the table if you ever got something that you want to raise. Obviously, Andre's not on the Zoom today, so otherwise we would have something, sure. All right. Let's get the coaching video started. Now, there's no watch your decisions today. It's just some clips, some messages about react to what happens. And I'm just trying to find how we do that. Just bear with me. There we go. All right. So I'll just run through it. If anyone's got any questions afterwards, they can bring it up, or any comments, but because there's no weighted decisions, I'll just run through these examples. Key messages. Essentially, we don't go looking for free kicks. We are proactive with our positioning, but our decision making is reactive. So they don't go looking for free kicks. A couple of good examples here of the umpires just letting their play go.
In the center of the ground.
Nothing obvious and blatant. The players immediately tackle, tries to get hold of it, and then it comes loose, and then there's a little bit of push shove at the end, just chatting to calm him down, but no need for free kick. This one here, there's a bit of a hands in the air from, I think, the Hope Valley player, but nothing obvious and blatant. There's a free kick. And so just these are the types of passages of play we like to be able to do. Just let it go. This one here, there would be a free kick for last possession at the end. The ball comes out. Looks like it's going to be holding the ball or ball up. Handball comes out. Back when that video was taken, that's before we had last possession in that grade of footies. But yeah, it's a handball out of bounds. It would normally be a free kick, but in that case, it was a throw-in. Important that when positioning ourselves, we're able to see the footy. So keep on the move. In this case here, Paul is able to move around and see that there's multiple hands on the ball, not one player's dragged that in. So ball up to the right result. Don't ever stand still. Always move around so you don't get player in the way. This case here, we get Smitty's in charge here. Again, multiple hands on the ball, so there's no need for a holding the ball decision. And Smitty's right there to make the call. So you hold the whistle, let it unfold, react to only the obvious. Again, don't go looking for free kicks. It should just stand out. In this case here, player gets the ball, gets their feet, immediately tackle, no prior, and ball up is the right result. So most cases, we make it difficult for ourselves at times. It really should be a simple game to umpire most of the time. In this case, there's nothing obvious there until he kicks it out the full. And so just letting the play go until that obvious free kick comes about. You need to move around so you see the ball player's head and shoulders. If you're not able to see the head and shoulders, you've got to get moving. And by positioning yourself correctly, you see these tackles where the arm does go over the shoulder. Make sure you get in there and have a bit of a presence where there's a high tackle in those type of cases, just in case there's a bit of carry on for the players. Good decision, good control from Willow. I think Willow features a fair bit on this video. This case here, there's a real obvious high tackle. And if we miss those, we're in all sorts of trouble. That would be one where I'd want to tap. He should have switched the other umpire down there. Looked like he's backing off, which is not what I want, but the decision's right. He got in there. And protecting the ball player is important. So in this case here, obvious in the back, just lands on him. There's nothing obvious before that. And as I said, the obvious ones just stand out. If you're in the right position, you'll get them. Goes here. It's Rob Kane in charge here. Just the tackle lasts way too long. Initially had the ball split loose and then obviously just holds on. That's where you do need to get in fast. You can see there's a bit of angst. Good communication and control at the set kick. He's just holding on. He hasn't taken possession of the ball. Can't go for the footy. This is being held. So good ball play, free kick by Jason. Communicating clearly to get your message across is obviously important. Good example here. Willow gets over. Obviously, one of the players says something which doesn't please Willow too much. Signals time on just to say, everyone, I'm not getting the game going. I'm making the point. Good body language, just telling him to pull his head in and then get the game going. So obviously not enough for a free kick, but worthy of just making a point. You don't want to relax. You never know what's going to happen. So in this case here, it's actually a good free kick for contact below the knees. And so the player thinks that he's actually going to get it for a high contact, but if the communication is right, making sure that you're telling the player what the free kick's for, he needs to make sure he doesn't kick it away like he did. So 25 is okay there. In this case here, there's a sling to the ground. Really good free kick. Probably want to have a little bit more presence when all the players are there, but the 25 is certainly, well, the FAD is certainly right. This case here, it's a hold the ball decision, and just getting in there, making sure you've cleared with a set kick. So yeah, don't worry about any previous decisions. This is something I used to really concentrate on. Sometimes you can be really hard on yourself. Everyone misses a free kick. Everyone makes mistakes. But if you let that get to you, you can let that affect following free kick. So it's important if you make a mistake. I used to do it when I bounced poorly, which happened quite a bit. I used to have a strategy to kind of be able to move on from it. But if you make a bad decision or miss something, nothing you can do about it. Really important that you don't have a string of wrong decisions or missed free kicks. So always worry about the next contest. And that is your video. Is there anyone want to raise anything from that video? Any questions, comments? All right. So very quiet Zoom. I haven't prepared this, but maybe I might just, because it's going to be such a short Zoom. Simon, I saw you join before. Simon Farrell, do you want to just unmute yourself? Thought I saw you. Maybe I didn't. I tell you what, I'll do it for the next Zoom. Simon umpire with one of my lads on the weekend, Jesse, and they had a very interesting situation where a yellow card was given out. We had a good look at the incident today. I will show that next week or the week after on the Zoom to have a bit of a discussion about it. Just, yeah, footy does throw up some pretty interesting scenarios. But it was Chris that I saw join late, Chris Braun. Well done, mate. I did recognise you at the start of the Zoom. Well done for getting the 200 games up. All right. This is going to be a record short Zoom if no one has anything else to raise.
Colt, Brendan, how are you?
Brendan. I was wondering whether actually the Zoom was working. No one was giving me anything.
Yeah, no, I'm still on the Gold Coast, enjoying up here at the moment.
I can see your eyebrows and your hair, and I can't see anything else. There you go.
Better?
That's better. Now, tell us about your weekend, mate. I know that you've had a busy time up there.
It was nice and wet for the half marathoners on Saturday, so I was blessed that I was only doing the 10K on Sunday, where it was nice and dry. We had about 4,000 people participate in that, and yeah, went well. So I'm now just enjoying the next 7 days up on the Gold Coast with my wife joining me tomorrow.
Oh, well done. Well, it's going to be pouring rain here for the next few days, so
oh, we've had plenty of weather here, but it's still 20, 21 degrees. So you don't really notice it when it's that wet, and the ground just seems to soak it up.
Yeah, nice.
The reason I unmuted myself was it was interesting, if I may speak about the tribunal hearing the other week.
Yeah.
That the young lad that came on from to speak from Morpheville Park was
Yeah.
more concerned about his yellow card, and I only thought of it when you mentioned the yellow card with your son and Simon Farrell, that he couldn't understand why he was given a yellow card for wrestling when there have been other incidents involved there, and I thought it was just very, very interesting that that was his focus during the tribunal hearing, that he wanted to know why he got a yellow card for that. And it just sort of goes to, from my perspective, I think this year, how different the umpiring is becoming in relation to immediate feedback from players, which is often negative, and also maybe a little bit more strident than normal. And in this case, this guy said he was the oldest player in his team. And I just thought, well, maybe he should have known what the rules and regulations are about the engagement that he was involved in at the time. So I was just wondering whether others had the same sort of feeling this year.
I think the fella you talk about, the feedback was that he was a fairly unique witness at a tribunal. Normally they're fairly cooperative. He was a bit uncooperative and a bit of attitude. So I think you found a unique one there. I don't know whether. So what are you suggesting? What's different about this year to other years, in your opinion?
I just feel that the players this year seem to be a little bit more on edge, a little bit more, I don't know, aggressive. I mean, last year I did Div 2, Div 3, and I'm doing Div 3, Div 4 this year. So, and I can't really say it's Div 4, but I just wondered whether other guys or and the ladies were feeling the same thing, that around the number of cards that you're having to give just to sort of keep a little bit of control.
I guess the answer to your query is, from a league perspective, it's been the opposite. The number of red cards is drastically down, like hugely down. I think it could be potentially a reflection of you tending to do 3 and 4 instead of 2 and 3. That would be my guess. And you've had some clubs in that bracket which have been a bit renowned for being a bit lippy. So, your Scotch, North Havens, those type of clubs that I hear don't mind having a bit of a whinge and a say. I think overall, my perspective is it's actually a bit better this year. But yeah, always open for people's thoughts, and it just might be the type of clubs who've been umpiring that you've had a bit more of that happen this year.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I suppose I've got skin like a rhino, so that doesn't matter.
I am going to show that incident now because you've given me a chance to find it. So it'll be of interest, I think, to a lot of you. It's the Moorfield Park and Kilburn game from the weekend, and so Jesse, one of my twins, was umpiring it with Simon Farrell. I'll let it roll. It's at the 26-minute mark of the first quarter, if anyone wants to go and have a look at it later on. But you'll see there, we'll just go back and have another look. The Kilburn player does come in to contest the ball, and the Moorfield Park player does too, and you can see they're both reaching the ball about the same time. The Kilburn player turns his body to protect himself, and the Moorfield Park player goes in head first. Just a really tricky situation. And Jesse summed it up at the time. Certainly, it's going to always be a high tackle free kick. Question is whether it's a suspendable action. Jesse did give a yellow card just to, I guess, kind of cool the situation, because there was a bit of angst afterwards. Simon said he would have given a yellow as well if Jesse hadn't. But we're all pretty comfortable that that's not a red card. But I tell you what, it would be a red card if the Kilburn player came in later and wasn't contesting the ball and he chose to bump. But it's just one of those scenarios where you need a video to still frame it frame by frame. And we've had a few of those over the years. So, yeah, 26-minute mark of the first quarter if anyone wants to go and have a look at that in real time.
Yeah, no, it looks like that was a good decision by the young fella, just in that slow-mo there.
Yeah, we think so. We think so.
Lovely.
You know, I could show you this example here, and you go out this week and get a very similar situation, but the player who does the bump comes in slightly later, and he is liable and would get a suspension. So the players do have to be really aware of whether they're going for the ball or whether they're going for the bump. And if they're just protecting themselves when they're going for the ball, that's fine. But if they take their eye off the ball and they choose to bump and they get the player higher, then there's going to be a penalty.
Yep. Cool.
All right. That
I look forward to
helps
catching up with everyone when I'm back next week.
Yeah, enjoy your time, mate.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
your time. And that is it. Still a short Zoom overall, but we'll see you for the Barbie at training on Wednesday night.
Can I just actually can I just
Andre?
I know
We were saying
Andre
before,
needs to-
if you were on the Zoom, we would have questions. We didn't have anyone asking questions, so you'd come on just in time because I was about to wind it up.
Okay, it's a real quick one, but while we're on the subject of the high tackles, and I know we've been bombarding the last 3 years about sling tackles and things and the changes, and a lot of emails have gone to a lot of clubs educating them what the sort of new rulings are. I just find, like this weekend, another example, it was a great tackle, and the guy who had the ball clumsily fell over in the tackle. There was no real head-high collision, but he did scrape his head on the ground and he felt a little bit dizzy and he was left on the ground. Now, I was bombarded with the coaches saying, oh, look, he had to leave the ground. He was semi-concussed. He did go back on the ground. And they say, oh, that was a sling or whatever, etc. It just seems like clubs are just thinking anyone that gets off the ground with a head-high situation or a concussed situation should be a yellow card or free kick or whatever. This was a very legal tackle. It wasn't a bump. There wasn't really a collision. It was a great tackle, actually called holding the ball. But he fell awkwardly and he scraped his head. So I just feel like clubs have to just be a little bit educated, saying it's not every time a player has hurt his head and has to get off the ground, it means there's got to be a yellow card or a free kick.
Okay, so some interesting points you make, Andre. On one hand, you're right that everyone is very sensitive to it. And the moment someone's injured, they're often looking for someone to blame. And there are going to be football accidents. I understand that. On the other hand, old school umpires are slow to recognise dangerous tackles. So without seeing a video, I can't say whether the one you had was a dangerous tackle or not. All I would say, the instruction is for all of you, if there's anything that concerns you about a player being tackled to ground, I want at least a free kick. And if there's any sign of a lift, a dump, a sling, it needs to be a yellow or red card. And this year, AFL have introduced a suspension for the rundown tackle that drives the player underground. So the reason why you get bombarded with players and club officials that the community expectations for dangerous tackles are totally different to even a year ago. And there's a sensitivity there. So if you are, so really what we want to see, if a player is taken to ground, that there's some duty of care. And if there's anything that concerns you, just pay a free kick. And there's nothing more that I hate it with a passion, when an umpire pays holding the ball and there should be a free kick for a dangerous tackle. So please just be really aware of what a community and everyone is expecting these days. And I'm not saying you're wrong in that case. Take a point, but dangerous tackles are one of the most important things for us to get these days.
Yeah, the tricky one on that one was about paid holding the ball. It was a great tackle, etc. And there was no real aftermath of any type of injury, etc. And when I called on the ball, he had the ball, and then of course, then he held his head, he scraped his head, etc. It was just a really awkward situation, and it's not like then I could have. I mean, I went with my instinct.
Yeah, so Andre, we're not out there to pay free kicks for injuries. It doesn't matter whether they're injured or not. What we're looking at is the action. And what I'm saying is when a player takes a player to ground, there's a duty of care. And, if there's anything that concerns you, a lift, a drag, something into the ground where they could have done something better to stop that injury, we need to at least penalise them. And what happens when you are concentrating on the play is you can sometimes see there's a prior opportunity, he's tackled initially fine, He doesn't get a handball or kick. So in your mind, you're going tick, tick, tick. This is going to be holding the ball. And at the very last minute, the dangerous tackle occurs. So part of the skill of an experienced umpire is to be able to change that decision from holding the ball to a dangerous tackle at the last minute. Again, I'm not saying that you're wrong on the weekend. I'm just going on the bigger picture side of it. And I would rather a soft, dangerous tackle paid than a dangerous tackle missed. So if we're erring on the side of paying dangerous tackles, it gets the right message across, especially early in the game. Michael, you've got something to...
Colin, I had something similar on Saturday. CBC and Unley player was tackled, and I was just about to ball it up, and just the last motion, his head didn't hit the ground, it touched the ground. And I just thought straight away, well, that had the potential to cause injury. The player was not happy at all, kept saying, well, that should have been holding the ball. But he kept real quiet after. I said, if you knocked him out, what do you think you're going to be doing for the next 2 or 3 weeks? And he didn't say a word to me for the rest of the game.
Yep. Well done.
Yep.
Well done. So as I said, I'm not dismissing Andre. And I do understand that it's a very sensitive issue, and anyone's, that gets injured is looking to blame someone. But we also have to be really high alert for players being taken to ground. And the simple message to players is, if you want to avoid getting a free kick or a potential suspension, if you don't have to take them to ground, don't. And if you get that message across to players, if they're unhappy about you paying a free kick like that, Michael, just say, well, next time, don't take them to ground if you don't have to.
Yeah, it's almost a case where you kind of have to hold back just a point of a second your decision, because you think, okay, he did fall on the ground, though it was a great tackle and there was no collision, head collision, and then just see how the guy what. Really.
Don't wait and see whether they're injured. So yes, you hold your decision back, because for the basic free kicks like high tackle in the back, holding on, the moment you see it, pay it. But as I said before, often with holding the ball, you're thinking, tick, 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 this is holding the ball. At that very last minute, you get a drive into the ground or a sling into the ground or a lift, something that causes a potential dangerous tackle. And so that's where you just delay the whistle slightly with the holding the ball to pay the free kick if anything concerns you. So, yes, it's delaying the whistle at the end, but it's not to see if the player's injured or they're hurt. Don't get that out of your mind. You can have someone that's totally not injured, totally not hurt, but there's been a dangerous tackle and needs to be penalised. So it's made the job a little bit more difficult, umpiring wise, to be on the lookout for it. But it's a really important development of our game, and it's made our game a whole lot safer compared to where we were 2 or 3 years ago. If you go out and play footy these days, you're much less likely to get concussion than we used to have.
And I think there's another reason why we've got less red cards as well, because full-on tackles do create scrimmages, and with scrimmages causes, a bit of a dust up here and there, etc. So I reckon that's an important part of the reasoning of why we got less red cards.
Sure.
But I get it. Yeah, in that situation, he just fell awkwardly from the tackle. It was a clumsy way he fell. But anyway.
I'm not arguing a decision on the weekend, mate. If we had video, it'd be a good one to have a look at. But I'll go with you. I just want to talk about the bigger picture. And as I said, if we pay a soft, dangerous tackle, I'd rather that than a miss one. Hey, we need you, Andre. It was going to be a record short Zoom meeting. Now we've gone for the standard time. Well done. And
that's good. I'm here to please.
All right. Anyone else before we go? All right. Very good. We'll catch you Wednesday.